You ready?
Yes.
All right, take a look. Wow. So welcome everyone. It's a beautiful day in spite of a few clouds, but they say the clouds bring the best pictures, so it'll be memorialized as even a more beautiful day. But I just want to first start off by thanking a few folks for getting us to this day. We wouldn't be here without my colleague, Alderman David Moore, over here. So much respect, Alderman Moore, for your leadership here, for recognizing what's important and what we choose to celebrate. Thank you so much for your leadership. I appreciate that. Also want to thank Black Heroes Matters Coalition. Thank you for your leadership, for persevering, for every committee that you spoke out on. It all meant the world to us. Thank you for that as well. Thank you, Mayor, for your leadership here. We wouldn't be here without you as well. Commissioner Biaggi, thank you again for your leadership. I appreciate you. I know you were called on to talk about a number of details, and just appreciate you all. Who we choose to celebrate is truly important. What we choose to celebrate is very important. And the sky didn't fall. We were still named the best city in the country by Condé Nast because we celebrate diversity. That makes us a more powerful city. That makes us and distinguishes us as being the best, I believe. So I am ecstatic that today we are choosing to raise DuSable to the level of his peers. In other cities, as I've said, Cleveland is named after its founder. Detroit, we celebrate Cadillac. Cadillac founded Detroit. Pittsburgh is named after its founder. And so today we are raising, thank you, Mayor, we are raising DuSable to that level of reverence, of really raising our founders up to the level that they need to be. And I'm happy to be a small part of that. So thank you, all of you, for helping to that end. Today is just the beginning of celebrating even more diversity in our city. And as I said, I appreciate the mayor for her leadership there. And Alderman Moore, thank you so much for all that you've done and will continue to do for our city. Thank you so much. And without further ado, I'd like to bring up our distinguished mayor, Mayor Lori Lightfoot. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Alderman King. And I think Sophia's got it exactly right. We needed to find a way to honor our founder. And in the long process that took us to get to this point, we took a lot of steps, a lot of journeys. We learned a lot, I think, about each other, about our history. But what we also learned about is how to come together. We took steps in each other's direction to get to, I think, this important place. So we're here today to celebrate. We're here today to officially unveil the new Jean-Baptiste Pointe DuSable Lakeshore Drive highway signs.
I'll be calling it DuSable Drive, just so you know.
So let's thank Alderman David Moore. David Moore, who fiercely carried this battle forward and got to, I think, a good place. He challenged us, not just to think about ways in which we could honor our founder, but to do it in a way that was consistent with the history that was bringing us to a different and better place. And now, forevermore, people will know the name DuSable. I want to thank Alderman King, who understood the importance of this journey and making sure that we were fighting the fight and again elevating our history. She went through and fought that fight herself, and I appreciate her contributions to this. Let me also thank Black Heroes Matter Coalition President Ephraim Martin, who, as Alderman King said, literally every city council meeting, every hearing, he was present and being very consistent in his messaging around the importance of this moment. Let me also thank our great CDOT Commissioner, Biaggi, because it's her folks that talk with the state, figured out how we could get this done, and do it in a way that really honored and celebrated our founder. Let me also recognize Jose Rios, the regional engineer for IDOT District 1, who's also been really important in helping carry this forward. So, you know me, I love history, so let me share a little bit of knowledge here. Over 200 years ago, Jean-Baptiste Pointe DuSable, a Haitian-born son of a French sailor and enslaved African woman, arrived in New Orleans. From there, he traveled up the Mississippi River to current-day Peoria, where he married a Native American woman, Kitty Hawa, in a tribal ceremony. Together in 1779, they established the first permanent settlement along the northern bank of the Chicago River near Lake Michigan. It was a natural crossroads for Native American and European explorers seeking access to the Mississippi River. Though many explorers and pioneers had come to that place before in passing, none stayed except DuSable and Kitty Hawa. And it was here that they set up a trading post, which quickly garnered a good reputation for commerce. From that humble settlement grew this great, booming global city. A prosperous city of 77 communities filled with rich diversity and culture, incredible food, amazing sports teams, Go Sky, yes, and museums, iconic architecture, and more. And of course, I'm talking about the city that we know and love as Chicago. And we would not be here celebrating this moment without that exploration of that couple traveling north to find their fortunes and set up the first permanent settlement here by non-natives in this great city, braving the onion fields that kept other settlers away from the riverbank. In celebration of his indelible mark on our history, we are proud to rename this iconic roadway after him. Importantly, this renaming also recognizes and honors contributions of our Black residents. Too often our history has not been told in this city, and we need to do more to make sure that our imprint, our value, our contributions are not only recognized, but revered in the way that they should be. This roadway stretches across our city, connecting South Side to the North Side and back and forth. By telling the story of our founder on this highway, we are further unifying our city and residents in a moment of racial and historical reckoning. From this point forward, never again will the contributions of this man be forgotten, and more to come. We are an incredible city, founded by a Black man and his indigenous wife. We should be very proud of this legacy and never forget it and honor it and revere it from this point forward. And as we celebrate the role that this important Haitian native to the founding of Chicago, this is also an opportunity to reflect on the challenges Haitians face in their country today. We should keep the people of Haiti, the entire diaspora, but particularly those who are living in the country under desperate circumstances, keep them in our hearts and in our prayers. They need our help. They need our voice. They need to make sure that we never treat them any differently than the human beings deserving of respect that they are. Jean-Baptiste Pointe DuSable who again was the son of a French sailor and an enslaved African woman, marrying an indigenous woman, was living the embodiment of the American identity. A nation of nations, out of one, many. And one of the things that I'm most proud of as mayor is the work that we've done to become one of the most welcoming cities in the country to immigrants and refugees from across the globe. Today, we talk about Afghanis and we talk about Haitians, but we've talked about many others from other parts of the world who have come to Chicago to call this great city home. We will always stand by and fight for the safety and protection of immigrants from wherever they hail, because that is our story. From our very beginning, we are a city that was founded and built by immigrants, and proudly so. So for as long as I am mayor, I will keep our promise and reputation as a beacon of hope to families all over the world, no matter where they come from. And we'll continue to strengthen our protections for them. Before I close, I'd like to point out another reason why today's street sign unveiling is so important. I'm proud to say that we are beating New York City, which you know, of course, gives me an incredible sense of pride. We're beating them to the punch and honoring DuSable. Day Late and Dollar Shirt, Brooklyn, New York, is unveiling their own DuSable street sign tomorrow. But as he founded our city, we must be first. So I just want to say again, thank you to all who have been part of this proud moment. I'd like to acknowledge the people and groups who made this possible today. And again, I want to thank my colleagues in City Council, notably Alderwoman Sophia King and my friend David Moore, who I'd love to come and speak from the heart, as he always does, about why this moment is so important. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. There's a scripture that says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not toward your own understanding, but in all of your ways, not some, but in all of your ways, acknowledge God and He'll direct your path. Sometimes I don't know where to go. Sometimes I don't know what to do. But when I acknowledge Him, He directs my path. And one of the paths that He directed, I don't know why He had me to be on that boat that day when we were taking a tour and the person did not acknowledge Jean-Baptiste Pointe DuSable. He talked about Al Capone. He talked about everybody, but he did not talk about Jean-Baptiste Pointe DuSable. I don't know why he directed my path to Alderman Sophia King, who is a fierce leader in this city council. And before I moved, he said, you must have her on your team. And without her, I could not have done this. Thank you so much, Alderman Sophia King. I also want to thank our Commissioner, Biaggi, which you all don't know. You all don't know the things that go on behind the scene and the challenges that some of our commissioners and people have. But what you can appreciate about people is their integrity, their honesty, and their forthrightness. Commissioner Biaggi was that person, and for that, I appreciate her and her team. I want to thank the mayor for her leadership. People have asked me, and it don't frustrate me, but it concerns me. People say, is there a problem? Are you all at odds? And we never were. People, you have to understand, everybody have their own different challenges and their reasons they have to deal with. But you may you can agree to disagree without being disagreeable. And that's what we determined to do, and we were able to get here by doing that. So thank you so much, Mayor. For me, I've been a person who not get excited about standing up after things are done, but I'm excited about the challenge. When I got into office, one of the things that we had to vote on was, under Rahm Emanuel, was the Barack Obama Library, which I was totally in support of. But we also had to vote on redoing the streets around there, and I didn't have streets in my ward done. And so I said, I'm not voting for that. They said, well, you're going to be the only no vote, and you're up for re-election. They're gonna say you didn't vote for this. I said, that's a seat I just have to lose then. Guess what? We got our streets, and I was able to support. I supported this mayor when others wouldn't, and I got beat up for it. I stood the course. I stood up and fought for DuSable Lakeshore Drive. I stood the course. So it's not about me. I take on issues that people are not willing to take on, but for the benefit of the people, not for the benefit of myself. And so continue, and I want our children to learn that lesson. And that's what this is all about. Because when this came about, our kids at both Powell Elementary on the east side and at Stagg Elementary School, they did projects on this because they said, we have never heard of DuSable. That's right. And because the museum is there, I don't think that every black child knows about him. That's right. And so this way it opens the door for everybody to learn. If we can take this drive, we'll drive down unity, a drive down, bringing everybody together from north to south, from east to west, to celebrate a man who was about what? Bringing people together. That's what he was about. That's what he was known for, besides finding Chicago, selling it. But also, a kid had to teach me this one. You hear about setting up a trading post, and how many times have we said that and just let that go? He established a trading post, let that go. It was a kid at Powell Elementary School that said, so he set the first business up? And I was like, wow, I guess he did. That was a kid at Powell Elementary School, and all I was stuck on was the founder. Look at all these buildings, these businesses around here. That's because of the foundation of Jean-Baptiste Pointe DuSable. So as we celebrate that, we celebrate hope for our children. We celebrate unity for our city, and we celebrate a street, an iconic street that is deserving so named after a man who deserves it. And so before I leave, my Haitian family, my Haitian brothers and sisters, it is so befitting. I had no idea we'll be dealing with what we're dealing with in Haiti today. Nothing is by accident. God wants us to see. God wants us to wake up, and he wants us to rise up and support and lift our voices for our Haitian brothers and sisters, especially what's going on around this country. And so I stand with you all, as you all are now coming. I hope you should have been out of the shadows, but I hope this brings you out even more to let people know that your voice, your vote, your contributions matter. Thank you so much. Now, I want to bring up this person who from day one when I announced this, stood up and said, we're going to be with you. And he just didn't bring himself, he formed a coalition. A coalition of black heroes, a coalition of black heroes and black people that know that black heroes matter. And then the mayor said it, Alderman Sophia King said it, not just at the Transportation Committee meetings, but at every committee meeting, showing up at City Council, not only him, but all of the people taking turns and saying how important this was to them. I am so thankful for you all for that, because without you all, it's easy for two people to stand up and fight for something, but when an army come together and stand up and fight for something, that's when we get deliverance. So without further ado, I bring up the man himself. Come on up here. Man, I'm drawing a blank. Martin, Ephraim Martin. I've been saying his name all day long, and now here I am getting so I'm so excited. Mr. Ephraim Martin, president of Black Heroes Matter.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, Alderman Moore, Alderman King, Commissioner Biaggi, the Black Heroes Matter team, and all the supporters who work to make this possible. I greet you this afternoon and this wonderful occasion honoring the founding father of this great city, Jean-Baptiste Pointe DuSable. Right. It is now 180 years when street was first named after a person. And today is the first time that DuSable has been considered. In 1830, he was not considered. In 1945, he was not considered. And until this day, thanks to the compromise with our mayor, Alderman Moore and Alderman King, and all the team and the 33 alderpersons who voted to make it possible so we can set the record and make it possible for a DuSable Street in Chicago here, DuSable Drive. Let me hasten to say and go back a little, because I must have to say a very special thanks to the coalition team. My wife, Justice Shelvin Louise Marie Hall, just retired from the bench. Tremel Williams, Marilyn May. I want to mention Oliver Comanci, Black Ice, Minister Eric, Valerie Hill, and others who your tireless call, over 150 comments in the City Council, made it possible for us to be celebrating today. DuSable. How did I get involved with DuSable? I first heard about DuSable from the late Earl Washington. I was with the Chicago Daily Defender when I first came here. I was covering an assignment with then Congressman Washington, and he was telling these kids about the founding father of a school he went to called DuSable School. It was surprising to me because I didn't know that. But in 1993, I went into the Historical Society, and I was greeted with a sign saying, Kedzie is the father of this great city. And that's when it all started. At our various events over the year, the Chicago Music Awards, the Festival of Life, the International Music Awards, we try to place attention on DuSable, draw attention to the work of this great man. Following the death of George Floyd, we said enough was enough. And we joined force with Alderman Moore and Alderman King to make sure that we fight and would never back off until victory for the founding father of this great city. And I'm so thankful for the mayor, because the mayor, let me say this, over the years, 240 years, no one has ever offered $1,000 or $50 to do anything for the work of DuSable. None of the mayors that I'm aware of. But the mayor, this mayor, Mayor Lightfoot, 40 million. She's saying 40 million. And I trust that the people who have to approve these things will make sure that that is done so that we can have a major monument for DuSable, and of course a city holiday and a DuSable Park. And I can tell you, like the mayor said, it's not done. It's just the beginning. And we're gonna support her in all these events that she planning for DuSable. And we're going to work together, and we call on all of you to do whatever you can to make sure that this work is done. It may not be able to finish in 2 or 3 years, but we cannot back off. We have to make sure that we encourage everyone to support the mayor to make sure that this work is continued all the way to the end. Again, to all our Black Heroes Matter Coalition, you can just raise your hand for those of you who are here and who have made comments. Because of the short time, we weren't able to get everyone, but we want to say a very special thanks to all the people in the media, the international media, throughout the Caribbean, and of course, New York and elsewhere who helped us last year all the way. We want to say thanks to them, and the local media here. We want to say a very special thanks to each and everyone for making it possible. Thank you all.
Okay, well, I think, so I'm Commissioner Biaggi with CDOT, and we're here at the moment, right? This is the first sign, and you're going to see signs go up, all up and down the drive over the next couple of days. I think it's really significant that we are standing across from Ida B. Wells, and now Jean-Baptiste Pointe DuSable. That means something, right? Right? And we're here because of advocacy that you've heard about. We're here because of leadership that you've seen, and we're looking forward to all of the ways that we can celebrate our story that is shared here in the city. So thank you for all the pursuit of making this happen. I want to thank our sign shop that's out here today. There we go, fabricating signs, making sure they get it right. Our engineering division out here as well, fighting steel wherever we could, chasing the supply chains to make this happen today. And as well, our friends at the Illinois Department of Transportation, who were really great partners on us, making sure we could get this done. So with that, I want to thank everybody for coming out today. And again, thanks to everyone up here behind me in the audience and across the city who brought us to this moment. So thank you so much for coming today. Thank you. All right. And I think we have a little gift for each of the folks up here.
Thank you. Right next to my, Thank you. Oh, wow.
All right. There you have it. How about it? Woo!
Yes.
Look at that. There we go.
That's great.
All right. Congratulations.
Cool.
Okay.
We get a couple photos.
Yeah, you want to tomatoes? We can hold those.
Yeah.
Those are. You can take them home with you. Short post to go.
We got you.
Can we get a couple photos with the Okay.
I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks a lot, Mayor. We're going to kick it off with Heather Sharon from WTTW. 2 questions per reporters, folks. Thank you.
Hi, Mayor.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Can you give us an update on how many police officers and firefighters who have been put in a no-pay status?
I think that's them saying on topic, please.
I'm happy to defer to any of my colleagues who have on-topic questions.
I do not have those numbers at my fingertips in terms of no pay. But we'll get those for you. I just don't have them at my fingertips. We're kind of doing this on an updated basis, and we'll make sure that Cesar gets the numbers to you.
Thank you, Heather. Greg Pratt, Tribune.
So you can tell us, what is the schedule for getting all the signs installed? And are you going to follow through with your promise to spend $40 million for a monument, renaming the Riverwalk, a city holiday?
And the park.
And the park.
Yes, we have those plans are in place. Pending approval of the various budgetary items by City Council, but absolutely, we've got, I think, most of the money already for the park, and some of that work is already starting. But yeah, look, I said this before, and I think everybody understands this. It is really important that people in the city know our history. And an important part of that history is understanding the importance of DuSable. And as Alderman Moore said, and I know many members of the City Council and others have felt the same, we don't know our history in this city. And we need to know it from the very beginning. And that's why really honoring and uplifting DuSable is really important. I think the plan that DCASE and the Park District put together along the Riverwalk, where we would use that as a gathering place to do tours, to do educational seminars, is a fantastic opportunity to really engage the public in knowing a crucial part of our history. So this is something that I am confident that we will see come to fruition. It's a fabulous opportunity for us to engage local artists in thinking and envisioning what those statutes should look like. So there's a lot of good that will come from this, but not the least of which is DuSable's name will never be forgotten in Chicago again.
All right, Marianne Ahern, NBC On Topic.
Oh, there you are.
One on topic. I did also the cost. Sorry, I'm hiding under here. The cost of the signs, I believe, was estimated at, is it 50 or is it 500?
I'll let Commissioner.
But I want the mayor to, once you tell me the exact cost, okay. Is that worth it? And there are going to be some who say no. But why is it worth it?
So the cost is approximately $500,000. We think we'll come in a little bit under that, but that's where the costs are standing right now.
I do think it's worth it, and here's why. We're talking about a man that was forgotten in the annals of Chicago history. Throughout this whole process, his name has been repeated over and over and over again. And many people across the city who never knew of him, didn't know the story, now do. And so it's hard to put a price tag on recapturing and elevating our history. And particularly as a woman of color, knowing that our founder was a black man and a Native woman, we need to tell those stories. Our kids need to see themselves in our history. And that's why this is a start, but not an ending for DuSable, but it's also a great beginning for really doing more to capture the greatness of our Chicago history. There are so many stories that of people whose lives have made a difference here, and our kids aren't learning that, and we need to do more to make sure that they're educated. So I think it's a small price to pay.
Are there any more on topic? If there aren't more on topic, I just have one off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Could you talk about the crime that happened in near you yesterday in Logan Square? Brazen.
Yes, I agree. Obviously, the detectives are hard at work investigating the shooting that happened, but shooting wherever it is, whether it's in my neighborhood, whether it's in somebody else's neighborhood, is unacceptable. And we've said that multiple times. But what we need to do is make sure that we send a very clear, definitive message to the people that are taking guns and shooting wherever it is in our city. We cannot tolerate this. And the brazenness that we're seeing is unacceptable. That's why we have to have better partnership with our colleagues at the county. Our officers are out there every single day risking life and limb, and they are arresting people that are committing violent acts. They are solving homicides at a rate that is better than what we've seen in 10 plus years. But if those people cycle through the system and are back on the street, not only does it send a terrible message to the victims of the crime, and we're saying to them, their lives don't matter at all. Their pain, their trauma, their suffering don't matter. But what it also do is elevates the brazenness of the people who are picking up guns and shooting up our neighborhoods. There's got to be accountability. There's got to be accountability. We teach our kids that from the earliest stages of their life, that actions matter. But if we don't have a criminal justice system that holds the most dangerous people accountable, then what we're saying is they get a pass, and then the next one gets a pass. And that's where we're at. We're on that precipice right now. And we've got to turn this around, and the only way to do it is to take dangerous people off the street and hold them accountable. I'm not saying locking up nonviolent offenders. I think we all realize that Cook County Jail can't be a debtor's prison, and we can't be destroying people's lives when they've been caught up in something that is not serious, that is not violent. But for the violent ones, for the killers, for the attempted killers, for the rapists, for the carjackers at gunpoint, yeah, I don't think they should be walking the streets. And we've got to get them off the street and send a clear and resounding message that accountability matters in our city, and that we are not going to tolerate this kind of brazenness. And I encourage everyone. Cook County is in the process of formulating its budget for next year. Contact every single Cook County commissioner from the president on down and send a message that in this city we have to have accountability, the courts, the jails, and the prosecutors, period.
Thank you, Mayor. On your left side, Greg Pratt, Tribune.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, Mayor, how are you?
Good.
On the FOP thing, I know you don't have numbers, but the judge today ruled in your favor, in the city's favor, and was talking about how people need to remember that both sides of this dispute, all sides of this dispute, are in public service. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about where you are in those talks with the FOP generally, and where we stand right now?
Yes. Look, fundamentally, as I've said over and over and over again, this is about making sure that we create the safest workplace possible. And we know with this deadly virus still raging, still killing people in our city every single day, the only way that we can maximize that is to get people vaccinated. I've heard from countless numbers of city employees who say they're nervous about not knowing who they're sitting next to in a cube, riding in a car, being in a work environment where they don't know whether or not their colleagues are vaccinated and getting tested. And that's what this is truly fundamentally about. And as we've demonstrated, we're not asking for extensive amounts of medical history. All we're asking is, are you vaccinated? Yes or no? And if no, sign up for the testing option. It shouldn't be that complicated. And if what we see, and we look at the numbers, and I'll take the police department as an example, over 84% of the people who have signed up are vaccinated. So what is this really about? What is this really about? And what I would just say to those young officers, those young firemen, you do not want to be led over a cliff without a parachute. You do not want to have in your personnel history the fact that you refused an order from your chain of command. No one will think that that's acceptable, and we certainly don't either. This is a condition of employment. People have to abide by the rules. We can't have the people that we are asking to enforce the law to act like they are above the law, period. People just need to sign up and be in compliance. And I'm confident that the numbers will continue to rise as they have all week long, and that people are going to wake up to the reality that they are being led over a cliff by someone who's already destroyed his career. I urge our young officers, our firemen, not to follow that example. Make your own decisions, choose the right thing, and sign up on the portal.
I appreciate that, Mayor. When it comes to, so are you feeling more optimistic? Are you seeing improvements with CPD?
Well,
can you talk about the progress there?
Sure. If you take out CPD and fire, almost every single one of our departments is at 100% compliance. Almost every single one. And we are seeing steady progress at both CFD and CPD. I don't have today's numbers, but we're seeing a significant increase over time, certainly from where we were last week at the beginning of the week to Friday to this week. We're seeing that increase. People recognize they don't want to lose their job. They don't want to lose their health care over what? Saying yes or no? That doesn't make any sense. It's not rational. And I think at the end of the day, I'm confident that our officers, that our firemen and EMTs, they're smarter than maybe what some are giving them credit for. They came into this job because they wanted to do service. You cannot be in people's homes, helping them on their most desperate days, giving medical assistance if you're not vaccinated. That's not right. And I think people will realize that.
All right, Craig, ABC 7.
Mayor, you're probably aware that Alderwoman Silvana Tabares filed a proposed ordinance that would repeal the vaccine mandate and require any future mandates to go through City Council approval. Can we get your reaction to that?
It's foolishness, and I'm going to do everything I can to stop it. I mean, and honestly, I really don't understand a woman of color carrying the water for a guy who's demonstrated over and over again. He's racist, he's a misogynist, he's xenophobic, he hates immigrants and refugees, he stands in support of the 1-6ers. I think people in her ward need to ask, why is it that this alderwoman is carrying the water for a guy like that? She knows very well this will never see the light of day, but the fact that she's willing to put her name on it is something really quite extraordinary and frankly dangerous. That is not reflective of her community. I know that community very well, and we'll have more to say about it, but it's really stunning to me that a woman of color would carry the water for a guy like that who every single day spews hatred against people who look like her, who have her background. It's stunning to me. Stunning.
She says it's more about the City Council being able to have a say in important matters like this and not about the vaccine itself.
If she wanted to have a say, we've been briefing the City Council for months and months and months. And magically, she's carrying the water for a guy who spews hatred against her and people in her community. It's not about that. It's about something worse and more cynical. And I think people in her community need to know what she's doing when she comes downtown to City Hall, because I don't believe she's representing the views of her community. It is really, really shameful. And she'll have to answer for that.
I had a couple of questions from Fran Spielman, if you'll indulge me here. She asked that former Inspector General Joe Ferguson says your decision to hire a private law firm and shield all the information that law firm gathered from him using attorney-client privilege hampered his investigation into the Anjanette Young case and made it impossible for him to recommend discipline against any city employees, calling it a remarkable and troubling closing circle. Can you respond to that?
You know, here's what I think. We have a lot of challenges in our city, and somebody who is, for me, a speck on the rearview mirror, I'm not going to focus on that. Like a good driver, 10-2, eyes ahead on the road. That's what I'm focused on, not what's behind me in the rearview mirror.
She also asked, what changes, if any, are you prepared to make in your budget to accommodate the Black Caucus and other caucuses?
Well, her reporting on what was and wasn't said at the Black Caucus is just not accurate. I think you saw today from the votes where many members of the Black Caucus stand. There's another big vote tomorrow in the Budget Committee, and she'll be able to see that played out as well.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Thank you very much, Mayor. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you
Have a
all.
great day.